We ready? Okay, good evening. 6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get going this evening. Welcome to this evening's town hall meeting. We like to do this every 2 years where we give the community a way to find out what it means to run for office. This year, the election is for 3 city council seats, and we are not, I know a lot of people have been paying attention. The city of Meridian, this election will not be about districts. We will be having at-large seats the way we've traditionally done, but assigned by seat, so people will have to make those decisions. But you didn't come here to hear from me to learn about this topic. So tonight you'll be hearing from our city clerk and our city attorney, who are going to be walking through what you need to know about running for office in the city of Meridian. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Chris Johnson, who's our city clerk, and he will begin this evening's presentation. And he can address how, if you're online watching, to answer any questions that you may have, if not in person. So Chris, take it away.
Great, thank you, Mayor Simpson. I want to apologize that we're in a room this big and I am amplified. It's just because of our YouTube viewers, and I think we got a little loud there, so I'm going to see if we can turn that down. Okay, so seems even louder. We turned it down. Well, thank you for coming this evening. As Mayor Simpson said, we're going to talk about the 2021 general election. He covered a couple topics that I'll be covering, but otherwise I'm going to go through everything here. First, the quick facts. As the mayor said, there are 3 city council seats. They're elected for 4-year terms, and those terms begin in January. To officially file, we'll discuss everything you need to know there. It's also in the packet you all have. If you're joining us online, please email cityclerk@meridiancity.org, and we will get information to you as well. And you can also find it on our website, meridiancity.org/election. As I was saying, the filing period, when you can officially declare as a candidate, begins on August 23rd at 8 a.m. To do that, you will bring the forms, which we'll talk about, into my office, the city clerk's office here at City Hall. And we accept those 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then the following week is Labor Day, and we have Tuesday through Friday. 5 p.m. on September 3rd is that deadline. So you absolutely have to file by September 3rd to have your name on the ballot as a candidate. Excuse me. So there's forms you need to file. The most important is the declaration of candidacy. That is what officially puts your name on the ballot. We get that, we receive it, we send it to the Ada County Clerk. They prepare the ballots to go out. Along with that, you either have to pay a $40 filing fee, which is a non-refundable fee, cash or check, money order, to the city clerk's office written to the city of Meridian. Or you can save the $40 and get some signatures from those in the community. Whether or not they want to vote for you, they can still sign that form for you, and that is the petition of candidacy. We'll cover that. Another quick fact is campaign finance is done through the Secretary of State. It is all online. When you file your declaration of candidacy, there will be a box that indicates that you're aware if you raise or spend over $500, you have to have a campaign treasurer. On that form, you actually will appoint yourself as treasurer, and then you can change that in the portal. In your packet, the very last page has some information about that portal. As the mayor said, we're electing at-large seats. So as he alluded to, House Bill 413, the Idaho legislature passed in 2020, requires cities over 100,000 population to elect by district. But because the census data is not available, we're officially not over 100,000. So the 2021 election will not be using that standard. But we fully anticipate that in 2023. As far as pay and benefits, there's more benefits than money, we all know, but the annual compensation for a city council member is $16,125 in the year 2022, and that goes up to $17,355 in 2023. And then elected officials also receive the same benefits as full-time city employees, so health insurance. The one thing they don't get is vacation and sick leave accrual. Major responsibilities aside from serving the citizens here, you're acting as the legislative and policy-making branch of the city government. You're participating in weekly meetings. We meet the first day, City Council meets the first 4 Tuesdays of every month at 4:30 for a work session, generally handling city business, and then 6 o'clock for the regular meeting, which is more public hearings, dealing with the budget and those types of things. Occasionally there are other special meetings. Come on in. We'll get you a packet. Occasionally there's other special meetings with some other agencies, Compass, Valley Regional Transit, West Ada School District, Ada County Highway District. Council members also are assigned liaisons to departments, so working directly with departments across the city to help them, meet the needs of their department. And then council members may be appointed to other bodies in the area, Meridian Development Corporation, Compass, Valley Regional Transit, et cetera. Instead of hearing from me, who's never been a city council member, I'm going to invite Bill Neri, our city attorney, to speak about his time on city council and let you know sort of the hidden benefits of serving the community.
So yeah, I'll just take a minute or two. And again, I think all of our city council members are always willing to talk about what this experience is like for them. It certainly is a rewarding opportunity to serve your community in this fashion because, again, I don't know any of you, well, I know a few of you here, but not very many of you here. And again, you're going to be asking a lot of people that you don't know to, one, give you money, and secondarily, to vote for you. So those are ways to really have to put yourself out there. But again, being involved in your community, I think, is one of the more rewarding things you could ever do. And that's at all levels. Because it is an at-large position currently, you are really representing everybody from Hillsdale in the south to up to McMillan and Chittenden in the north. I mean, it is a very large city. And so trying to understand what the various needs are around the city are important, and finding ways to do that is really important so that you can get a sense of what our community feels and wants in varieties of different ways. Because again, the needs in one part of our community can be very different than others. And for myself, I spent a lot of time either with service clubs, other local community groups, or other groups like at the high schools and the high school football games and other opportunities to kind of get connected with folks. So I think it's really a great opportunity. I applaud anybody who wants to put their name out there and do this because, again, it's not easy to do. There is some time commitment. There is a learning curve. Again, a lot of what the city council does has some serious long-term impacts for the city as a whole, whether it's budgetary, whether it's future buildings, whether it's expansion of our park system, expansion of our police and fire services, and all of the land uses that come people are asking to either annex their properties and add more acreage into the city for development, or they want to add more buildings and homes and residences or whatever. So, I mean, there certainly is a lot of responsibility in this position, and so I welcome any questions that you have about that or what that feels like. And again, I think our mayor and our current council members are always available for that. I think every one of them would enjoy sharing their experiences and why serving in this capacity for them is also important. So any questions you have on that particular topic before I let Chris get back to the regular agenda on what we're talking on, how to actually go ahead and move forward with this? Okay, well, thank you. Chris, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Bill. We do have a current council member here as well. I just gonna not put you on the spot. Nothing to add. That was good. Okay, thank you. So I want to talk about the election process and what is in your packet. So again, the filing requirements is the declaration of candidacy and then either the petition of candidacy and the $40 fee, or sorry, the declaration of candidacy with the petition or the declaration and the $40 fee. I keep hitting on that because I'm cheap and I want to save money, so I want to save you money as well. Put that $40 toward your campaign. This kind of goes over the requirements. We'll go on another slide there to cover that. So the petition of candidacy is in your packet. It is filled out by you, and then you have the opportunity to get signatures from 5 qualified electors. Pulling this form up here. There is an instruction sheet called City Office Completing the Petition of Candidacy. So this tells you how to complete that form step by step. Some things to be cautious of when you're doing the petition. Just because somebody has a Meridian address does not mean they're a Meridian resident. It does not mean they're eligible to vote in the election. So it's advisable to get more than 5 signatures because when you go to get those certified, you may find out that 1 or 2 of those aren't qualified electors. They cannot be qualified because of where they live. They could also not be a registered voter. Maybe their registration's been purged or their voter registration doesn't match their current address. They've not updated that. So kind of protect yourself and your time by getting more than 5. You can be one of those people, and it's advisable as well, because that's a good chance to check your voter registration. So it's great when you take that to the county and they certify that everybody's an eligible voter. If they rule you out, that's your notification to fix that. Otherwise, won't go very well, you won't get very far, you won't get on the ballot. Somebody can sign multiple, so if you are running along with someone else, multiple people can sign your form. It doesn't lock them into voting for you. and they're not required to only sign one. And in the Declaration of Candidacy, again, there's also a page for that that explains step by step. But on that form, you'll actually pick the seat you are running for. Even though we have at-large seats, you are designating which of those 3 seats, 2, 4, or 6, that you are seeking election for. That will also verify your address when you put that in there. You'll acknowledge the campaign finance rules, as I mentioned earlier, that you have to designate a treasurer once you have $500 spent or raised. And then also that form has to be notarized. If you don't make that September 3rd deadline, or maybe you have not been a resident of the city for 30 days by September 3rd, you can file as a write-in candidate. Unlike the way I believe things were in my youth, you have to be a registered write-in candidate. So Bugs Bunny is never going to get elected because he has to register as a write-in candidate. So you have to do that first. You're not required to file the petition of candidacy or pay a fee at that point, but any time after that September 3rd, 5 p.m. through 5 p.m. on September 10th, a write-in candidate can file. Votes are not counted for a write-in candidate unless they've officially declared as a write-in candidate. If something is to happen and you decide after September 3rd, after you filed, that you no longer wish to run, you have until September 17th, 5 p.m. to file a notarized statement with my office stating that you no longer are seeking election, and then your name is removed from the ballot. If you decide at that point, after September 17th, that you no longer wish to be a candidate, your name will be on the ballot. You will receive votes. Quick notes on Idaho campaign finance. Those of you who maybe have been around in the past may note that those came through the city. So Boise, Nampa, Caldwell, Meridian, we all took care of that in our own individual cities. That has now moved to become a Secretary of State thing through the state. So anything over $500 requires reporting, as I mentioned. You have to appoint that treasurer, and you'll appoint yourself first by indicating that on the Declaration of Candidacy. Then you can change that in the portal, which information is in your packet. And then there are maximum contribution limits. That is all laid out in the portal, but the big points, there's a limit of $1,000 per individual business or political committee. And then there's also a fee for missing your filing deadlines. So pay very close attention once you go in the campaign finance portal and set that up, because we do not want to see you getting fined $50 per day. I almost had to fine somebody a couple years ago, and fortunately they came in just in time. But we want to make sure that, I don't know, the Secretary of State has the same leniency. So some of the frequently asked questions we've gotten past elections, questions that may come up here I want to cover, and then that will actually conclude the presentation, and we'll answer any questions you have. And then also once we end, we can certainly stick around as well if you want to ask questions individually. Where can you place your campaign signs? One of the most common questions we get. Some quick highlights there. You cannot place those on public or private property without permission. That does include any city-owned property or business, or any city-owned property, wastewater treatment plant, any park. You cannot place your signs there. They will be removed if they are. Also, if a public utility grants permission for a candidate to place their sign, they're granting permission for all candidates to place their sign. So if you get that permission, just know that everybody else will also, by default, be given that permission. And also use caution with that, because as Mr. Neri was telling me earlier, most of the utilities are very small, and then the land around it may be owned by an irrigation district or another property owner. So just use caution when you're placing those. Try to be wise about where you place them. When in doubt, ask. Are there term limits? No. In 2002, the Idaho legislature removed term limits, so an elected official can continue being elected as long as the public want them to be. Let's say your name is Margaret, but you go by Maggie. Can you run as Maggie? Yes, you can. The name on the ballot will match your declaration of candidacy. So if you put your name on your ballot with a nickname, that is how, on the declaration, that is how it will flow over to the ballot. One other form in here I didn't have on the presentation, but wanted to mention. The very first page is called the 2021 Candidate Filing Packet. And this is something the county has asked us to do. It's not a state requirement. It's not even a requirement. But we're hoping to help the county by putting notes about pronunciation. So if it's just recommended, if you have a name that is pronounced differently than it may be usually looked at, putting it there, because we do have some in the county who have audio ballots. So maybe vision impaired, in order to decide who they're voting for, they receive verbal cues as to that. So that will let them know, and we will make sure your name is pronounced correctly in that. Notarizing your declaration and your petition, those can be done by any notary for the state of Idaho, and every member of the city clerk's office staff can do that for you. So we're happy to notarize for you. Just bring that form in with your ID and we'd be happy to do that. And you can do that when you file. Campaigning on election day. You are allowed to campaign on election day. However, electioneering is a criminal offense, and that is distributing or campaigning within 100 feet of a polling place, regardless of it being a public or private location. So City Hall is a early voting location, which also falls under this, and even though it's public property, you can't stand right inside the lobby of City Hall and campaign or put out flyers. However, you can do it pretty close. This is a 100-foot distance from the City Hall entrance, so this, I'm not encouraging you to go stand by the restrooms outside, but you certainly are able to. This kind of gives you an indication. So any polling place 100 feet, this lets you know approximately what that is. And again, that does apply to early voting. And City Hall is an early voting location, generally the 2 weeks leading up to the election. And then we stop early voting Friday at 5 p.m. on the Friday before the Tuesday of the election. And then Monday, there's no early voting. The county's busy moving their equipment around everywhere out to those polling places.
Yeah, Chris,
Yes.
one thing, maybe I'll pause for 1
Please.
second. And we had this done by our IT folks, but I don't think and I just happened to think of this as you put it up, it did not take into account the election box that's out there. So we will probably have to move that line out further because there's a mailbox that can be used for absentee ballots that's still there that I imagine will be available for this election. So we will expand that 100 feet further out, so it probably will cover most of the plaza. So it probably won't be quite that narrow. I just realized that as we put that up. I didn't think about that, but we'll have to expand that.
Great point. I didn't think of that either. So, so please don't stand by that mailbox and offer to check it for them before they put it in for early voting. So again, someone may have a Meridian address but not be a Meridian resident. That's called the Meridian Area of Impact. So Idaho code does not allow non-residents to vote in city elections. So again, when you are verifying information, whether it's your petition of candidacy, when you're verifying your petition of candidacy, that's why you'll do that through Ada County. They will check to make sure that you do have qualified electors. It's also good to have people check, and they can do that on Idaho Votes. You can do that through the Ada County assessor to see if you're paying City of Meridian property tax. They'll let you know you're a resident. But it's good to check that, especially if you're a candidate or if you have a large group of supporters and maybe they live out on the fringes and you want to know for sure, are they eligible to vote? Can I run for multiple seats? Can I change my seat? So as I indicated earlier, you're selecting which of the 3 city council seats you're running for when you file. However, you are running for that seat only. You can't register for more than 1 seat by paying more money. You just can pick one. You can only be on the ballot for 1. However, you can change your seat up until the deadline of September 3rd at 5 p.m. So if you're running for seat 2 and you change your mind last minute and want to run for seat 4, you have to come in, withdraw your candidacy for seat 2, file a new candidacy for seat 4, and either have a new petition of candidacy with signatures or pay that $40 fee. It's my favorite part. What happens if the vote ends in a tie? True story. City code or state code requires I flip a coin with you at a meeting. So, not found out what happens if there's a 3-way tie. So let's not test that because I don't know if that's been tested in the legislature yet. Might have to roll some dice. Something, we'll figure that out. And then term of office begins the first regular meeting of 2022. That generally is the first Tuesday, but depending on holidays, et cetera, that could be anywhere in that first week. And I will be in contact with our elected candidates to plan for that first meeting where you'll come in, we'll swear you into office, take the oath of office. Generally, newly elected people can bring in a family Bible they want to use to take the oath, bring some family in, generally have some photos and things like that. So we'll have a great time then. And that is it for the prepared. I will kind of go through the packet a little bit with you. Just to kind of cover what everything is. But as I mentioned, the first page is the candidate filing packet. So this is where we just want your basic information, sort of the same thing I collected in the back, but this is for the county. So they can collect that information and get the pronunciation of your name. Then there is the filing information, so what's required of all candidates, then whether you're doing the petitions or the fee, and then the county clerk's office information is on there. The next page is completing the declaration of candidacy. So this is the actual form that, or the instructions for the form that places your name on the ballot. And then there is the completing the petition of candidacy. And again, this is the optional form that saves you the $40 to do that. One thing of note with the petition for candidacy, you actually take this form to the Ada County Elections Office on Benjamin Lane in Boise. They will verify those signatures, give it back to you stamped, and then you bring it here. If you bring it directly to me, I have to send it off to them, and that could cause some delay. So I would encourage you to, unless it's the last moment, to do that ahead of time. If you're filing, the Friday, September 3rd at 5 p.m., you can bring it straight in, and we'll do our best to verify everything. Just the county is the official, the designated area to check these. They're best equipped to do that. They have access that I do not have. Like I said, I don't want you to assume that you have your signatures and find out you don't, or worse, find out that you're not, eligible because you are not registered to vote. And then there are the official declaration of candidacy form and the petition of candidacy form. And then the last page is the general city election, which has the dates I mentioned there, the August 23rd, September 3rd, September 10th, et cetera. And then the back side of that is the campaign finance portal information. And that link is very in the middle there where it says where to report. That is where you'll go to the portal, create your account, and begin filing those forms. So that concludes my part. Are there questions you have before we conclude the town hall?
I will reiterate a couple of things that Chris has brought up, just because it's fairly common during this process that folks have some questions. Most of the time, the filing and finance questions go to the clerk's office primarily. Again, they can't advise you what to do. They may direct you where you need to go to get your answer. They may be able to direct you to a portion of the code to get your answers. So if you're in doubt, please call. If you just aren't sure, please call. Most of the questions about signs or complaints come to my office. Again, for those online or those watching this after the fact, I'm Bill Neri, I'm the city attorney. So they tend to come to my office because they're concerned either it's blocking something, it's obstructing something, it's on someone's property without their permission. Again, if the city needs to remove them because they're on city property or they're obstructing something that the city has control over, our code enforcement will generally pick those signs up and take them to the police department. If the Ada County Highway District picks them up or the Idaho Transportation District picks them up because they're in the right-of-way and obstructing the vision triangle for people, they will take them to their offices. So if your signs are gone, we may have them, someone else may have them. So again, you can call to check and we can help you at least maybe direct you where that could be. Signs are expensive. I don't want you to lose any of your signs because of that. So be very certain where you're putting them that you have permission. It's critically important. And as Chris stated, what sometimes people don't realize that although the irrigation district or a utility such as the phone company or cable has given you permission to put it there or given all candidates permission to put it there, the property itself may not be theirs. The box that it's in might be theirs, but as many of you probably have noticed occasionally over the years, some of those boxes are in people's front yards. That doesn't give you the right to put it in their yard. So please verify that you have permission to do that. Again, if it's on the city's property, any park, any of the city's property, fire stations, any of it, we will remove them. So please don't put them there. That also includes, and we get questions, so I'm going to just mention it, there's a fence out here along Meridian Road that's adjacent to the city parking lot. That also is in the city's jurisdiction. Please don't put signs on there. Again, we do get complaints of this type. Again, we can't advise you what to do differently. We can advise you what the code tells you. And so anytime you have a question, please call. This is a very difficult, stressful time for folks. And again, I don't want anyone to lose any time over things like this that we could have helped you out. So don't hesitate to call either Chris's office or my office, and we'll help you as best we can. Again, are there any questions from anybody?
Great question. So the question was, for those on YouTube, are these new seats or seats that someone is currently in? So these are seats 2, 4, and 6. Currently, there are 3 council members in those seats. And because we don't file until August 23rd, I'm not sure if they're running for re-election. I believe they are, but that's not officially declared until August 23rd. So they are seats with people in them at this time. Great question. Mayor Simpson.
Just a quick campaign. What I heard you say is you don't have to file a treasure or do anything until you raise $500. Is that true or not? That's what I thought I heard.
That is correct, yes. The new law is until you raise or spend $500, you don't have to go in and create a portal. However, when you file the declaration, you do check the box that appoints yourself treasurer. So once you hit that 500 threshold, you are your own treasurer until you go in the portal to change that.
So since they don't officially file until August 23rd, between now and then, what did they actually have to do? Is it just go on and do the portal if they want to raise money till that point in time?
Yep, just go to the portal, which is on the last page, go to that link, create their account, and file their campaign treasurer, whether that's themselves or another person.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, new laws this year. So any other questions? Okay, yes, ma'am. He's going to bring a mic over just so our, I apologize.
On average, how much should someone expect to raise for candidacy if they wanted to apply?
You know, great question.
Average.
I don't really have an average. We've had candidates in the past who, 2 years ago, when we had an election for mayor and 3 council members, we had, one candidate for mayor raise and spend $5. They're not the mayor, but it really just depends how much someone wants to spend. There's no real set, number. I mean, you could go to the portal and look at.
I was going to say, you can look on the website. I think you have the past elections information still on there. So you can see what the candidates raised and what they spent on our website. So you can see that. And as Chris stated, it varies greatly. Understand everything that you would be likely doing if you're actively campaigning, whether it's creating written material, creating signs, any type of physical things, are all expensive unless you have sponsorships and other folks. All of those things count though as contributions. So if someone wants to donate $1,000 worth of printing for you, that has to be acknowledged as an in-kind contribution. So all of that, and the other thing I was going to mention from Chris, the $1,000 limit, that is a cumulative limit. So that's not an individual contribution. That's the total from that person or campaign organization or business. So if they give you $500 in 1 month and $500 next month, that's all the financial contribution they can make to your campaign. Yes.
Great point about that. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I know on one of the slides you said that you have to report your finances that you make. Report to who?
So that's in
Get the fine. Fine from who?
So that's the Secretary of State's campaign finance portal. So the link is in there. That's where you create that account and do that reporting. Yep.
Okay, for the next 3 months. Okay, are there going to be any forums or anything, or is this pretty much just the publicity, you going out door knocking? Or are the candidates going to come up and speak at any time at any location? Or any type of debates? I know it's only 3 months before the election, so I was just wondering how that
It's a great
plays
question.
out.
Yeah, generally, every election year, our Mayor's Youth Advisory Council puts together a campaign or a forum for candidates. So I anticipate they will this year, and information will go out to anyone who's signed up to receive information or anyone that files their declaration of candidacy with the office. So we will keep in contact with that and certainly invite you. If you're running for office, we want to have you there represented. And we had a great turnout when we did that 2 years ago, so hopefully we are able to do that again and have a good turnout.
Yeah, and in the past, some of the other local groups, like the Chamber of Commerce, have done that as well as part of their normal programming for a lunch or something else. Again, with COVID, I don't know if that's going to be different. It certainly could be different, but I don't know. But they certainly have had other groups. Again, we don't have a lot of that here in Meridian, so I don't know beyond the Chamber, and then if the Youth Council does that, if there are other opportunities. Certainly, once this candidates' names are out there, most groups that are doing this do tend to want to invite them because, again, they're trying to get more people to be engaged and involved. But, again, we don't always know about those things either.
When you file, that led me to this, when you do file, all the information we collect from you is public information. So that is in our campaign or our election portal on our website. So Chamber of Commerce, other groups can go find that information, your email address, phone number, whatever's on the form, and invite you. So that is how they get that information. That's how our youth council would get it as well.
The other thing I'd mention on finances, Chris, and if I get this wrong, please correct me. The one thing that is not limited on your finances is how much money of your money you want to spend. You don't have a limitation on your own money. You still have to, I don't recall if you have to account for it You have to account for it in some fashion.
Yes.
If you have to account for it in some fashion, but if it's your money, even if it's you loaning the campaign money, you have to account for it, but it's your money, that's fine. So there's not a limit to that, but there is a limit for anyone else to donate money to you.
Yep, that is still accurate. That is just reported in the portal. You don't have to file any like bank statements, W-2s, anything like that. But if you're spending money on your own account, you just have to account for where the money came from, not where it came from, that it came from you. And then you, as you mentioned, if you're loaning your account money because you expect to be paid back later through fundraising, you have to document that as well. 2 years ago, I knew everything about that, but since the Secretary of State took it over, it's a weight off my shoulders. I don't have to know a whole lot about campaign, but I will certainly try to answer questions and get you in touch. And then in your packet, it does have information for Allie O'Brien at Ada County Elections. She's a great resource as well, and likely knows a little bit more about campaign finance than I, since she handles multiple elections as opposed to bi-yearly council, or Meridian City.
And I believe this is the first election we've had since the law changed that everything goes through the Secretary of State. So currently, Idaho has odd year elections are for cities. So there's approximately 200 cities in the state. Most of them will be having elections. All of them are going through the Secretary of State this year. I don't know how that's going to function. So, you're not going to get a nice call from Chris saying, hey, your form's due in 3 days. We haven't seen it yet. I don't imagine they're going to do that. So as Chris stated earlier, please keep track of your dates and make sure you turn your things in timely, because I have no idea if you're going to get a reminder from the state to tell you haven't turned that in on time.
Great. Well, we'll stick around for other questions. If you're joining us on YouTube, again, if you have any questions, email cityclerk@meridiancity.org. Go to our website, meridiancity.org/election. Mayor, any closing remarks? Great. Well, kind of plugging some upcoming events. Main Street Market every Saturday 9 to 2 here at Meridian City Hall. Movie night this Friday, 7 to 11:30 in Settlers Park, and then our first teen night of the season at Meridian Home Court along Franklin Road is this Friday as well. You can find those events at meridiancity.org/calendar. And I thank you all for coming. We'll end the presentation now, and like I said, we'll stick around for questions. Thank you.